All right, Andre, I'm going to show you my proof of concept. I know I don't have any spheres showing right now. I just wanted to show you that I have my octree working. This is the version that shows the full octree. However, this is not the one I can use because you'll see in a second. Uh, I am moving my camera and yeah, it's really, really slow. Yes, this is in the update that's happening, creating a bunch of lists, standard lists, which is terrible. And the only reason I'm using them is so I can show you that I actually have this Octree thing working. I'm gonna show you why I have to use the lists in a second. Just to show you excuse me, I'll show you in a second why I use the lists instead of the arrays. But yeah, you can see that the I'm only drawing squares where I have vertices, or excuse me, yeah, vertices of the model. Like you can see up here, like that isn't getting drawn, that's not getting drawn. These back two are not getting drawn because there are no model parts, model vertices in there, right? So I'm only drawing cubes, the cubes for the octree in the spaces that I'm supposed to. All right, gonna pause real quick. Hey, all right, Andre. So my screen looked kind of weird, so I don't know if you can see what I'm looking at right now. So I'm gonna do this over again and show you. So this is the very first frame. Well, I'm gonna skip to the second frame of the game so you can actually see something. Right. So the game first starts up using arrays instead of lists, even though it is the exact same code except for the container that I'm using, I don't get the same beautiful little octree guy going on. And it's kind of weird. Don't understand it. And it took a long while for me to figure out why this was happening, and I don't know how to fix it because it's Azul stuff. So let me just show you real quick. Let me go to the next frame and you'll see that oh, every now and then I'll lose boxes. Actually, let me just run it for you and show you. So now that it's running, you saw how my boxes started disappearing. So if I move my plane around, I lose even more boxes, and I gain some every now and then. But like it's weird. Like I don't understand what was going on. It took me a while to figure that out. So let me show you in my code real quick where that is in a different place while I'm debugging. All right, Andre. So this is the constructor I'm using for my frigate. This is where I put all of my code, my proof of concept code, because I this is what I was using before I pulled it out into the system. Which when you read my stuff, you'll see why it's still in my frigate and not in a system. We'll get to that later. All right. So here's this vector array is the model that I'm using, vector list that we're getting from Zool's code, right? Which is all the stuff that we get on creation of the model and the load resources, all the things that you gave us for this. Now, this V-array I'm using on update every frame to create the octree per se. So essentially, I just needed to send the vector list to if I was to actually do this like on creation, I would send this once and it would be pointers to different octree. Again, this is all stuff you'll see in the work. So I just let's just look at this. Look, all right, V array, it's a pointer to a vector array, right? So if you look at our first points, yeah, let me just put it down here because it'll probably be easier. So here's the first point in the list that it is pointing to, right? Now when I go to the next frame, my vector list changes. Go to the next frame, it changes again. And this is just the first point, right? So it's constantly changing, which makes absolutely no sense to me. And the reason why when I use arrays in my code, and my code is changing, oh, this is all crappy code, crappy code. All right, so this is a little tester guy let me put this down here, sorry. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just saying, hey, if I have a point that's within the octree, add a little bit to a counter. If I'm above 0, then I'm going to be creating a new, octree box within a that min and max point, and then drawing it at the end. So basically, every single time I have a collection of vertices, and I'm above the depth that I set, I'm basically going to box off that area. So that's what that point is. Now, so every time I run this, I should get essentially the first time I run this code in the create octree, right? When I go to this function, which tells me to do the exact same thing. I take the vector list, which should never change. It should give me the same 894 vertices. I put my breakpoint in the wrong spot, huh? Crap. Should give me the same 894 vertices, and then these vertices should always be in the exact same spot. Because one, my model is not moving, so there's no reason for my vectors of that model to be moving, right? That doesn't make sense. So when I run this code, this number should always be the same every single time. All these counters, right? For every single time I run it, these counters should be the same. And right now, my code is not right. What happened? Oh, hold on one second. Ah, sorry about that. Had some comedies in the wrong place. But anyways, so when I run that code, right, these numbers should never change because the original vector list is going to give me the same 894 vectors every single time, right? That should never change. So run the code, right? The number of verts that I'm getting from the model itself, 894, always going to be the same, which means that's always going to be 71. That's always going to be 186. That's always going to be 45. That's always going to be 150, 118, 143, 74, 107. I've already done the math. That equals 894, right? First frame. Now, next frame, second time around, I got 106, 276. It's way different. 17, way different. 120, 156, right? These are different numbers, and that shouldn't be happening. I'm not moving my model, and the whole reason it's happening is because, well, I guess I'll just go to my vector array. Well, points. My array, I guess I cycle through my array, so the number's going to be different. Anyways, so this value is changing, right? So it's 15, -4, and 3 for the first point. This time, God, it's way out of the way. It's 35, -4, -18. I don't get it. It's not like I'm not calling this every single frame. I'm just using that value. Like this is my constructor. It's not changing, but it is. And there's nowhere in my code where I actually tell it to change. So I don't really get it. And that's why, I think that's why when I run my code using the arrays instead of the list, I get this. And, like I get this weird thing where every now and then I'll get like half my model's QB guys, and sometimes I get nothing. It's weird. So yeah, let me show you my spheres real quick. All right, so this is a few levels deep of my spheres. My secret sphere is the big black guy, and the little white ones are supposed to be like the bounding spheres that are encompassing the mesh. Obviously, I'm having like the way that I'm calculating it is really just on the leaf nodes. So what would need to change, and it's in my write-up, what would have to change is an easy fix. It basically just takes the collection of vertices that are in that depth, and it gets the min and max points of all that collection of vertices, and then creates a sphere using that min and max because I can just calculate the center from that. And that would basically fix all this issue. So like it would use these spheres and these spheres to create spheres in the middle, a sphere in the middle to encompass the whole thing instead of these separate ones. But one of the problems that again with these meshes, I don't know if it's just these meshes or if it's other meshes, like there's supposed to be 894 vertices in this mesh, but if I were to draw all of them, I would draw 894, but I don't know, like half of them are repeated vertices, uh, and they don't show. So like if you look at like if I just draw all the vertices, it doesn't look like 894. It looks like 60 or 70, much smaller number. But yeah, and let me show you a different depth. All right, so here you can see that this one encompasses the whole mesh. Obviously, this is a looser, or I guess a more coarse, yeah, a more coarse set because I'm not going as deep. But as you can see, like even though I mean, yeah, the very sides kind of messes up, and the sphere is like outside the mesh because it's using vertices out here for some odd reason. Don't ask me why. And because I don't know, sorry. But you can see like for the most part, compared to the big secret sphere volume, like the collision detection would or using this for my next set instead of going straight to the bounding volume of the object might, well, it would be a cheaper comparisons even if there's like these 25 spheres or whatever it is. At least I think it is based on computations, even though I haven't been able to test it. But like for the most part, like I can have like these sphere packed model, which is it's actually kind of cool. I wish could do this a little bit better, but that'll be for next time. But yeah, this is my sphere packing stuff, a complete and utter failure. But I had fun, getting my ass kicked. There's a pretty detailed write up in the written report concerning like everything that I did and didn't do and what I wanted to do. UML. Yeah, I don't have any UML, but I probably should get you some. So we'll see. Maybe when I wake up, cause it's kind of late. Uh, yeah. All right. Let me set you up for my actual game engine stuff. All right, Andre.